to my channel. This is flower letter number 3. I hope you guys are enjoying this flower letter as much as I am. I am a little bit behind on it. I did get down sick a little bit, and work has been very hectic, so I did get just a little bit behind, but that's no problem. We're going to jump right into it and get caught up. This is the Adelaide Magnolia collection that we have, so let's open it up and see what's on the inside. This one opened up beautifully, guys. Alright, let's open it up. Ooh, we have another picture. Alright, we're going to set that to the side. Looks like we have a little portrait. Hold it up so you guys can see it. On the back. Oh, this is Adelaide Magnolia. It says London, 1815, age 18, I want to believe that says. But yeah, that is Adelaide Magnolia. Okay, so we're going to put this to the side. We have a letter. Feels like more than one page. Let's see. Looks like we have like 3 pages. Okay, so we got our letter. Okay, so we have the death of your Duke. It says, Archer Duke of Windermere passed away quietly at Windsor Castle yesterday evening. The second Duke of Windermere was widely known and respected throughout this country for his generous heart, his charming manners, and his willingness to extend friendship to all who crossed his path. A lifelong bachelor, his lordship is survived by his ward, Miss Juliana Morgan, who he loved as his own, and his third cousin and heir, Captain William Liam Arthur Mattis. Third Lord Windermere will take up residence at Windsor Castle, where he has vowed to carry on his predecessors' excellent lineages to the very best of his capabilities. Lord Windermere's memory will live long in the hearts of all in Cumbria who knew him. May his everlasting soul find peace in the Almighty's keeping. So that's pretty interesting. So this is Juliana. So this is how she got her inheritance. If I remember in the last letter, she said something about inheriting an inheritance, and she had a bunch of unwanted attention from some men that was after mostly her money. We have a beautiful postcard. And we have our letter. So we will get into the letter and find out what is going on. July 10th, 1817. Dear Grandmama, Phineas has returned to Avery Abbey, and he is most assuredly in love. I suppose we knew this day would come, but nothing really prepares one for it, does it? He has chosen the dearest girl in the whole world. I have always wanted a true love match for him, and you and I both know Juliana would never give him false hope. We expect Juliana and the old Duke tomorrow. Finn has been beside himself. He worries he hasn't done enough to make Juliana feel welcome. He was aboard the last time she stayed with us, and he obviously isn't acquainted with her more adventurous qualities. Even so, I do not know what more he could do. He has insisted I have the entire household staff turn out every room in the Abbey twice. Rugs have been beaten, linens laundered and pressed, menus arranged and rearranged. The gardeners have started darting off in the opposite directions when they see Finn. I have truly never seen my brother behave like this. Not even that time he fell so madly in love with Miss Lizzie Swan from Clovelly. Goodness, what a whirlwind that was for us all. I am truly happy for him and wish to do all I can to ensure his success in wooing dear Juliana. I can honestly think of no one better suited to him. However, I dreadfully miss the refuge and solitude of Magnolia Grove. I'm quite anxious about seeing Juliana again. The last time I had the pleasure was 2 years ago during my season in London. She was still at Miss R's school, and we had a merry time, but so much has changed since then. Grandmama, I have changed, and I worry it will not go unnoticed by her. The old Duke is far too polite a gentleman to comment on any alteration he might see in the fairer sex, but Juliana and I were like sisters at school. We discussed everything, and I worry I will be unable to bear her questions. Also, I suppose I cannot stay hidden at Magnolia Grove forever, as Finn is endlessly informing me. I have thought of you often while preparing for our visitors. I have tried to imagine myself to be the mistress you would be if you were able to welcome our guest. I do believe entertaining to be one of your special gifts. When Lord Baron came home with Finn for a visit one holiday, before he became just as wicked as his child Harold, I heard him describe you as being as enchanting as the fairy folk. I used to feel that you had passed that trait on to me. At least I did before the accident. Now, I'm so terribly worried I will feel too self-conscious to be much of a hostess. I am sure I should feel an ever-nagging urge to escape back to Magnolia Grove and the sea. I felt just such an urge when Phineas mentioned a desire to rekindle the tradition of hosting Avery Abbey's All Hallows Eve ball while our guests are visiting. It was the first time I realized Finn intends this to be a long visit. October is nearly 4 months away. How shall I bear it? I do not think I could if it were anyone but Phineas asking me for any other reason than true love. As it is, I have felt for some time now that someone should benefit from Grandpapa's and your excellent example of wedding bliss, since I now hold little hope for myself in that regard. I am determined to do all I can to ensure it is so with Finn. After shamefully neglecting my dear brother, with little explanation for the past 2 years, it's the least I can do. And now, I must go and finish the final preparations for the arrival of our guest tomorrow. So it says later, so I'm sure later on she came back to write. It says, "Oh, Grandmama, something truly dreadful has happened. I can barely hold the pen as it is set trembling so. How I could not have known is unfathomable to me. Juliana and the Duke arrived today as planned. I was quite nervous to see Juliana." Again, as you know, however, I was remaining composed for dear Finn's sake. When the carriage pulled into the courtyard at the Abbey, the first person to exit the carriage was dear Juliana. She didn't even wait for the footman to hand her down. She simply burst from the carriage as quickly as priority would allow and ran to me. Before I knew what was happening, the dear girl had her arms about me. It felt for a moment as though we were back at Mrs. R's school and had never left one another's side. The relief I felt at this realization was pliable indeed. For the first time since receiving Penn's letter requesting my help, after telling me how very pleased she was at seeing me again and I her, Phineas stepped forward to greet Juliana, and I might as well have been a stranger to her then. Pleased by her obvious excitement to see Finn, I stepped aside and remembered the old Duke had yet to be greeted. I moved toward the carriage to ensure he received a greeting worthy of the Duke of Windermere. A man soon emerged from the carriage, and any greeting I may have had for his grace hung unspoken on my lips. You see, dear Grandmama, it was not the kindly old Duke I remember from Juliana in my school days who stepped from the carriage. In fact, the gentleman was not old at all. He called to Juliana, by her Christian name, I might add, and for one solid moment of horror, I was afraid Juliana had brought one of her London suitors to Avery with her. But then she stepped forward and introduced me to not the second, but the third Duke of Windermere, the old Duke's successor. I was entirely gobsmacked. I knew the shock showed on my face, for his grace truly looked concerned, and offering his arm, asked if he might escort me inside out of the heat. When the shock of this man's arrival ceased very little, I looked to Juliana for some explanation. That's when she told me of the old Duke's passing a year ago. She is now the ward of his successor, the new, young, and uncommonly handsome gentleman previously known to us, though my memory of our previous acquaintance is limited and quite vague, as Captain Leon Mattis. To say I was thoroughly mortified, dear Grandma, is quite insignificant for describing my feelings. I apologized profusely to them both for such an unemployable blunder. Finn, of course, knew of the old Duke's passing all along. In his symptomatically oblivious fashion, never once thought to mention it to me. He said he thought I should have already known since Captain Mattis and I were acquainted, when I assured him the new Duke and I were only acquainted very briefly during my season in London. He looked surprised and insisted I must be mistaken. He said to hear the Duke speak of it, we were much more than briefly acquainted, to which I replied truthfully that I had little memory of what he was talking of. Am I remembering wrong, Grandmama? Or is this yet one more thing the accident has cost me? I feel certain I would have remembered such an important acquaintance with a man of his caliber. Thankfully, Finn and the new Lord Wintermore are in quite the best of terms. I dare say they became well acquainted during the season of he and Juliana saw as much of one another as I have been led to believe. When I failed to regain my composure due to the shock and mortification of it all, Finn led his Grace off to the stables while I showed Juliana to the rooms I had prepared for her. Even now, I am aghast at what a fool I have been. I should have known of the old Duke's passing without reading of it in the papers. I should have been one of the first Juliana would have written to had I not been as so neglected of her. And even if she hadn't written, who else would she have unexpectedly inherited a vast fortune from, if not the old Duke? He was childless and terribly fond of her, and the dear man's gentlemanly nature would not have allowed him to leave her unprovided for. But, dear Grandmama, how shall I manage to entertain the likes of Captain Leo Mattis? And for nearly 4 months, Juliana told me he knows the Duke of Wellington personally. How is such a man to be entertained? The old Duke would have been perfectly content shut up in the library reading for the duration of Juliana's visit. When Finn asked this favor of me, never once did I anticipate having to entertain a young gentleman, let alone one as handsome and imposing as Lord Windermere. I am certain he will expect dinners, parties, and musical evenings. I'll have to invite the young ladies and gentlemen from neighboring houses to come to Avery Abbey in order to make up a party. How shall I bear the questions, Grandmama? The sidelong looks, the gossip that will evidently follow. It's nothing less than I deserve. I know, but I'm certain they will want me to play again. What should I tell them then? What will they say when they learn I can't? What will they tell others? Please, Grandmama, tell me what to do. Your loving granddaughter, Adelaide Magnolia. So down here, as always, if you guys have been keeping track of the flower letters with me, it says to learn more about Lord Baron and how the countryland gentlemen entertained the guests during the Regency era, as well as other words and phrases highlighted in red. Visit our learn page at flowerletter.com, and you can also follow them on Instagram now too. Okay, so there is a little bit of a mystery here, especially the incident that she keeps talking about. I'm kind of curious to find out what kind of accident she had and that has affected her some way. Obviously she is very worried about this, and that is why she has isolated herself, and that she is not able to play again. Now, I'm not sure if that's meaning like the game of being in society, like her season that she was in, or if that's meaning perhaps playing a musical instrument or something along the lines of that. It's not exactly clarified that. So that's quite interesting. And I'm hoping that this Leo Mattis, I'm hoping that he is going to be the one that she is going to fall in love with, I hope, or the story would continue with him, I hope. And I am quite curious about this All Hallows Eve ball that they do plan on having. I actually cannot wait for that letter. I know that's going to be probably way down the road from now, but I am quite curious, and I want to know if some of the extras are going to be kind of, special in that one. I don't know. But so far, to let you guys know what I think, I like this letter. I actually love the pages of this letter, if you guys have noticed, I love magnolia trees. I mean, if anybody lives down south, they know that's a very big thing, like the magnolia flowers and stuff like that. The back of the letter, it looked like this. But I really love these flowers. That's what they remind me of, is like the big magnolia trees I used to see when I was little. So I really like that. I love the style of this letter, and it is super pretty. It does kind of give that romantic kind of feel to it. If I had sat down and actually had wrote a letter to somebody, I feel like this would have been a kind of letter that I would have wrote on just the pretty paper and stuff. But so far, I am liking this letter. Don't know yet if it is my favorite so far. I am liking the era that it is in. I know the last letter has been my favorite up to this point, but like I said, I do like this era. I'm very curious about it. And in case you guys are wondering, I know there was a couple of highlighted words, nothing really important. I mean, like the word Godsmacked, I mean, that's pretty much just being shocked, basically. And talking about like the parties and stuff that they would have, the grand parties and stuff. Anybody that has seen Bridgerton or even Downton Abbey would pretty much know exactly how the parties would have been back then. And the entertainment, and of course Lord Byron, he was kind of like a poet, pretty much back then. He didn't really become famous until later on, you know. I think after his death and stuff, he became pretty famous for his poems and words and sayings and stuff like that. He does have some pretty good stuff. And at that time, you know, scandal and stuff kind of ruined his name and everything. But like I said, he became popular later on. For anybody that's interested in poems, I highly suggest it. I like some of his stuff. But like I said, I really enjoyed this letter. It's been really good. This is letter 3. I will get us caught up on it. You guys let me know what you think about it. And they do have a new letter out. And I'm going to just let you guys kind of know really quick before I let you go that there is a new letter by Flower Letter. I'll post a link in the bottom of the description so you guys can go on there and you guys can look at it. But it's called the Orchid May Letters. And it's going to be an archaeological letter, and it looks super cool. I don't really know the story behind it yet. Maybe later on I'll kind of give you guys some detail about that. But it does look super cool, and I'm super excited about it. I actually can't wait to read it myself. I'm almost very tempted to get it and read both letters at the same time. I don't quite know how I will manage that, but it does look really good. But if you guys do want to try a new letter, or you want to try Flower Letter, you guys definitely go and get on there and read them and check it out. So that is going to be all for today, and I hope you guys like this letter, and I will see you guys back here very soon with letter number 4. Bye!